Hey, so I promised everyone a video about my trip to Greece, and so that's what this is. I'm going to talk a little bit about the trip, and I'm actually going to just obviously I'm on a camera that's different from what I normally do TMI videos on. It's my regular video camera, but I'm gonna do a bit of a slideshow. How about that? Because we all love slideshows, right? So anyway, just to start off, why did we wind up going to Greece? My wife and I, we actually got married in 2008, so this would be our 11th anniversary this year. We got married in Italy on the Amalfi Coast in Positano, which is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. And we always said that we would go back on our 10th anniversary, but last year was our 10th anniversary, and I had just started doing YouTube full time, and I was kind of just getting by. So we just couldn't afford it. It was just out of the cards for us, unfortunately. So we didn't go last year, and as you know, the channel has done a little bit better over the last year. Financially, it became more possible to go somewhere. And I don't remember how we wound up deciding to go to Greece instead of going back to Positano. We always wanted to go back to Positano, but I think when it came down to it, we're like, look, if we're going to spend all this money to go somewhere, let's go someplace new. That's kind of where we landed on it. So we basically spent, I think, 4 nights in Athens and 5 nights in Santorini, the island of Santorini. We had a really rough start to this. When we left, we flew from Dallas. It was going Dallas to Philadelphia to Athens. That was the flight there. And we got to Philadelphia. That was all well and good. And then 1 hour into our flight from Philadelphia, they turned the plane around. I've never had this happen before. So they turned the plane around. We went back to Philadelphia. They said something along the lines of the climate control system in the airplane. Apparently there's 2 of them, and one of them had gone down, and they basically had just enough to maintain cabin pressure. In that if it was a domestic flight or a short flight, it wouldn't be that big a deal. They probably would have gone on, but international regulations and the fact that it was so long and over the ocean, they were not legally allowed to go. So they turned around and came back. That was a bummer in and of itself. So we got off the plane. We're hanging out there at Philadelphia, and they had to go get a new plane, which took a while. So they got a new plane, and then, like, after sitting there for a solid hour at least, suddenly they're like, oh, you're going to need new boarding passes. It was just chaos. Nobody knew what was going on. The flight attendants, the boarding people, like, nobody had any clue what was happening. And so we're all sitting there, and we're getting little pieces of information. We're like, what? So we deboarded the plane. Or I'm sorry, we had to reboard the plane. We had to get new boarding passes. So everybody suddenly piled up at the boarding desk, and they're handing out passes, and there was all this confusion, and some people couldn't this and that. Anyway, finally they get all that straightened out, and we board the plane again. We go through that whole process again. And we get on the plane, and maybe 10 minutes after the entire plane was boarded, they came on the speaker and said, because of regulations, like pilots, I mean, it's a good thing, but pilots are only allowed to fly a certain amount of hours before they are required to get some rest. And these particular pilots and this particular crew, if they had continued this journey all the way to Athens, they would have gone over that time. So they needed to get a new crew, is what it all came down to. Why they didn't think about this 3 hours before when they returned to the airport and got some new people in there, I don't know, but it seemed to have just occurred to them after they boarded the plane. And so they had to deboard the plane. So we got off the plane again. Luckily, they had brought around some food. They were like trying to make it a little bit better. It didn't really help too much. But we were basically stranded at the Philadelphia airport for another, I want to say 3 or 4 hours, while they found crew people to, I mean, this is like 2 or 3 in the morning at that point, you know, to get out of bed, take a shower, put on their uniform, pack for a trip to Athens. And anyway, we finally got out. We basically missed an entire day of our trip because we were supposed to have gotten there at like 9 or 10 in the morning. So we would have at least had that day. We would have been tired, sure, but we had that day. Instead, we wound up getting there at like 5 o'clock at night. So didn't really get one of those days. But anyway, that was a rough start. The rest of it, though, was pretty great. We stayed at a hotel called the Electra Hotel in Athens, and it was a nice hotel, but when we went out to the deck, to the pool, they had a rooftop pool, we saw this. like, it is a view of the Acropolis, like the Acropolis. It's like right there. And it was one of these things that, like, the longer we were there, we would watch people come out onto the deck, and you could tell that they had just gotten there because they walk out and be like, you know, wow, you know. So that was really cool. Beautiful deck view. We stayed out there quite a bit. They had a restaurant right there, and I just kind of took a picture of some of the stuff that we got. That was a sunset, first sunset there, just beautiful. Anyway, so I'm just going to show you some of these sites of Athens that we ran across. Some of these are just, you know, random pictures that I saw. This was, okay, cool thing about Athens is basically everywhere you go, there's just ruins. There's just archaeological stuff everywhere. You couldn't miss it. This particular spot was, I think it was called the Library of Hadrian, is what this was. Yeah, and you just walk around the corner, and there it is. Just 1,000-year-old ruins, 2,000-year-old ruins. It's just ridiculous everywhere. I just kind of captured that as we walked past. This is just, oh, it has a name. I forget. Doesn't matter. Cool place that we walked across. Just an interesting little store there. Sights and Sounds of Athens. I don't know why I took that. Old churches everywhere you look. Athens and Greece. I'm sure there's some Greek people watching this that are kind of like, please don't give me a history in my country because you don't know it. And I really don't. But for those who aren't that familiar with Greece, you know, they had the ancient Greece and all that, but also the Ottomans came through. So there was a Muslim presence there for a while. So lots of old mosques, and the Eastern Christian, the Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire was kind of, it wasn't headed out of Athens, but it was, you know, kind of in that part of the world. So there was a lot of old Christian churches as well. Kind of seals everywhere. This one, I believe, was built in like 300 AD or something like that. I mean, is that right? Something like that. It was an insanely old church, just like right in the middle of a shopping district. As you can see behind it, there's a guess behind it, and I think there was a gap back there too. It's just funny. Like, coming from a place where my entire country is only 200 plus years old. And like, if there's a building in my city that's 100 years old, it's a historical monument, right? And that's just there, and people are just hanging out and having a sandwich. It's amazing. So that was me and my wife just having some stuff. I just saw this on the wall. Ad Astra per Aspera, which I believe was one of NASA's slogans back in the day. To the stars through struggle, I believe is what that stands for. I just saw it on the wall. Had to take a picture. Really cool. There's another picture of it. So this was just a park that was not too far away from us, around the corner. Just a beautiful little park. That was part of the park. I'm such a great tour guide. I see Acropolis at night with a moon. It's kind of out of focus, unfortunately, but it was beautiful, just kind of all lit up at night. So that's another picture. Kind of just dumped too many pictures. Okay, so one of the little excursions that we went to is an island called Hydra. Now, it's spelled Hydra, like Hail Hydra, Hydra, but it's pronounced Hydra. Kind of the claim to fame about Hydra is that they don't allow cars there. So everything is done on the backs of donkeys. Everybody gets around on donkeys. And it's obviously a heavy tourist kind of area, so they would offer donkey rides and that kind of thing. But they also, I mean, like, I didn't see this in person, but I'd seen it online before we went up there. There were donkeys like carrying like dishwashers up to people's houses and stuff. But Hydra was a beautiful little town. Some more of the donkeys. I always liked that picture. It was a beautiful town, beautiful island. That was me with my hat that kept me from burning up too much. I bought it there. As you can see, just beautiful views. It's just like all on the cliffside there. I posted some of these on Instagram, so if you're following me on Instagram, you might have seen these. But it actually, there's a little panorama I did. That it played a huge part in the Greek War of Independence against the Ottomans back in the 1820s, I believe. It was a major seaport there. Okay, so this guy, we went through his house. His house is a museum. When people come to see him, the Addams Family theme kind of really went through my head. Okay, I'm going to murder his name. It is Lazaros Kondriotis. Lazaros Kondriotis, I think is how you say it. his house is a museum now. And he played a vital part in the Greek Civil War. He was like I think he was like a merchant, and his home became a place where they would have strategy sessions and stuff like that. But his home was really cool, super old. There's some stuff in the kitchens there that were just neat. Some of these rooms, oh, those are just some narrow stairs I thought were interesting. Down the basement, they had some stuff on the walls that you can kind of read about. But, I mean, it just kind of felt like so old school and middle age and looms and stuff there. There's the cooking stuff. Man, I just took a lot of pictures of these. Why did I do that? I swear I was more selective later on with my pictures, I promise. They had a little art gallery down there. That was cool. So this is the view from the place. Like, they had a balcony, and you look out, and, like, that's this view. Like, can you imagine living in a place with a view like that? It was insane. I felt like I was in King's Landing or something. They had all these old clothes laying around. Okay, so this room right here, I gotta pause for a second. I'm gonna try to keep this video from going too long, but it's fun. It's fun. Okay, this was a beautiful house. There were all these really cool rooms. I don't know why, but I got to this room and I just stood there, and I could not. First of all, there was a rope right in front of me, so you couldn't actually go into it. But I couldn't stop looking at this room. I was just so blown away by it, in a weird deja vu kind of way. I can't explain it. And the thing that's missing from this picture, and it's really unfortunate, and I wish my camera had captured this, was that through those windows, those two windows right there, was this gorgeous view of the sea. It was kind of like that balcony view that I showed a second ago, but you could see that out of the windows. And it was just like, I just stood there and I was like, I want this so bad. Like, it was like right out of an Architectural Digest or something. It was so gorgeous. I've never just been struck by that. Like, it was just a very visceral thing. I just couldn't look away. It was gorgeous. Anyway, I love that room. Lots of pictures of people, old clothing and stuff like that. I just thought that was beautiful with that tree. Found that on the wall. Thought it was interesting. Took a video of some of the donkeys. So the island that we went to later, Santorini, they had donkeys as well. But these donkeys look so like run down, and like I felt bad for them. Like there wasn't any joy in these donkeys. They were just such beasts of burden, and it was so hot out there that day. When we went to Santorini, some of the donkeys were there. They had more pep to them. They were kind of like their heads were held higher, like these guys were all slumped over. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting or something, but I really felt bad for these donkeys. They had a naval museum, as you can see, Historical Archives Museum of Idra. Like I said, it was a major naval port. That was just a beautiful view that I saw there. I don't know who that is. I thought this was a cool shot. Little cannon shot there. Let's see. Again, just they had a weird modern art gallery inside of this naval museum, and that was like a glowing bench that I couldn't sit on, unfortunately, but I thought it was cool. I just thought that was creepy. That kid's haunting me in my dreams. They really loved their fezzes back then. I should have bought a fez while I was there, but I didn't. As you can see, this is the most bananas weapon I've ever seen in my life. It's brass knuckles and a dagger and a gun all in one. Because reasons. This was actually some guy's ashes that were just kind of displayed in that urn there. Words that I can't read. This was just a lovely little path with restaurants where we ate. Donkeys, as I said. Very downtrodden, not happy donkeys. Yeah. Okay, so the Acropolis. We went to the Acropolis. What can you say about the Acropolis? It's like, it's insane how old it is, and just you're just blown away by the fact that it's still there and it's stood the test of time. There is an amphitheater that is still used for concerts and performances of some kind. And that's it right there. And you can see down in the orchestra pit, there's actual like seats down there, and there's something on the stage with a weird neon green thing. It was kind of stood out. It made it look like there was something wrong with your camera. But I mean, that's the view. That's the view. This is Athens, just Athens. I would love to go see a performance there. I bet it's really awesome. But that was on the side of the Acropolis. Little panorama that I did with a person's random arm, just kind of disembodied there. So something that struck me about the Acropolis, and I was thinking about it quite a bit actually, was, I mean, this place is in ruins, but obviously once upon a time it wasn't ruins, it was temples. And they had dioramas inside the museum that was at the foot of the hill that kind of showed what it used to look like. I had this overwhelming sense of the fact that the people who spent their lives working on this place, if they saw it now, I feel like they would be absolutely heartbroken, you know? And it's this weird thing of, well, you'll see it in a second. There's me with that hat again. That hat was necessary, by the way. So you see all the construction being done, all that scaffolding. So they are constantly working on this, but what's funny to me is that they're not working to like rebuild it or anything. They're working to keep it in this particular level of ruin. You know, it's like, we don't want it to be any better, but we don't want it to be any worse either. We want to keep it just the way it is. We're locking it into this level of ruinness, which is just a funny concept to me. Part of me thinks it would really be awesome to have them rebuild it, and then the other part of me is like, no, that'd be terrible. You want to leave it the way it is, but of course the people who bought it or who built it, you know, they wouldn't want it to be in ruins. It's just an interesting debate. And I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who's an architect, and he was talking about how he always thought that that art should have a shelf life. Like, it shouldn't go on forever. It should be allowed to decay and go away and be replaced by something new. So it's you know, it's an interesting debate there. Love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place. It was really crowded. Like this, the pictures actually, I'm surprised they don't convey how crowded it was. There were a lot of people out there. It was also seriously hot, and all those things. But I mean, just an amazing experience to just be there and see these. And they're bigger than life. They're just as big as they look. I think that's the Temple of Athena right there. What we saw earlier, that's the Parthenon. So I was always confused because the Acropolis is made up of all these different temples, and the Parthenon is one of them. I always thought they were two different things, but I learned a thing. Yeah, just columns, lots of columns. Gotta get yourself some marble columns. Not those plants going out were interesting. Those old statues. Look how worn down that is. This blows my mind. It's so cool. All right. Oh, this I thought was so cool. So this is what they called the prison of Socrates. Supposedly this is where Socrates was held before they made him drink the hemlock and kill himself. Whether or not this is actually where he was kept, not exactly sure. But this was, I guess, according to tradition, where he was held. They also said that back in, I say they, I just read it somewhere. When the Nazis came in World War II, that was a whole thing that happened as well. They hid a lot of the Acropolis artwork and treasures in there, and that's why there's those bars up and everything. But no, that was like a little spot. We had to go to it. It was really neat. That's actually a picture inside the bars of the prison there. I just thought it was neat. Yeah, I'm just walking around and I start hearing that. Might have soiled my pants a little bit. It was weird. So I took a video. So inside or at the bottom of the Acropolis was the Acropolis Museum. It was actually a really cool museum. I only took a few shots in there though. After a while, you start to it's just a whole bunch of white marble people. And it's like, okay, I've seen a bunch of these now. Although what is interesting is it showed some of them in their original state. They were painted back in the day. They were not meant to be white marble representations of people. They were actually a lot more realistic and lifelike. Once upon a time. That's kind of neat. You kind of lose that after a while. What's next? So those are just some more fun pictures of Athens as we went around. This was the place that we ate a couple of times, actually. It was just a neat little spot. You don't get neat little spots like that. Okay, yeah, no, I took a picture of this. I totally did. Let me explain why. This bathroom, and this was in our hotel room, it just cracked me up every time I walked in there. I called it, and pardon the language, but I called it the ultimate European shit station. Because you got your toilet, bidet, 2 rolls of toilet paper, a drain in the floor, just in case, toilet seat cover. This right here, that was how you flushed. That was the flush button. Can't miss it. So no matter how drunk you get, you can do it. And just in case you're super drunk, and just in case you have a fecal emergency that you can't handle, there's a phone on the wall right there. Tell me this isn't the funniest bathroom you've ever seen. I thought it was hilarious, so I had to take a picture of it. All right, so Santorini. Here's why this was a good trip for a nerd like me. Athens, obviously, lots of history, nerd. Santorini is literally a volcano. It's a volcano. It's a volcano. And when you walk out to this particular place that we stayed, it was called the Cosmopolitan Suites. So all of this is in Thera. So there's basically 2 cities in let me step back. Hold on. Okay, sorry. The island, the Greek name for the island is actually Thera, Thera. But it became known as Santorini because it was named after Saint Irene when, I guess, Catholicism kind of took over there. So it became known as Santorini. The Greek name for it is Thera. You kind of saw it used interchangeably. There are multiple towns on this, and it's a crescent-shaped island because it was once a volcano that blew up. And so what's on the inside, that water that you see right there, that's the caldera. That is a volcanic caldera right there. And you'll see more pictures of it in just a second. But there are 2 towns, main towns. One of them is called Fira with an F, F-I-R-A, and the other one is called Ia, which is spelled O-I-A. So it looks like it should be Oya, but it's actually Ia. We stayed in Fira. There was a whole, Ia is considered to be the more beautiful. We did go there. I'll show you some pictures in a second. But Fira is considered not to be as pretty, but it's a lot more functional. There's more stuff to do there, I guess. And Ia, by the way, was just a CF. It was just disaster. I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, so this was the place that we stayed. This was the view. You can see the rest of the island out there. Here's a little video. You see all those birds flying around. We were just blown away when we first got there. And you can see that giant caldera, and it's like hazy and foggy on the other side over there because there's so many. It stopped right on that bird. That's funny. Sorry. But what's crazy is that there is an airport there, and you land at the airport, and it's on... Okay, so on the inside of the caldera, it's a very steep cliff because it blew up. But then on the other side of that cliff, it kind of slopes out slowly because if you can imagine, it once upon a time was a big mountain that kind of went up like this. Well, now it goes up like this and then like that. So you land on this side of it, and then you get in a car and you kind of drive up, and then you approach Fira from the other side on that sloping side, and we came walking out into the view of the back of this hotel, and it's just like presented to you, and it's just like it was just the most amazing sight when you first got out there. As I said, donkeys here too, but don't they seem more lively? Don't they seem happier? They're just like, hey, you got that head going, what's up, what's up? They're walking, they're having fun. They just seemed happier than the ones on Idra. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm projecting. Lots of beautiful blue domes and white buildings everywhere you looked. This was approaching sunset, and the light on the town was just so gorgeous. So here you get a good view. Like in the middle of there's actually 2 islands out there. You can only see one right now from this angle. What were they called? Nia Kalama or something like that. I forget already. But anyway, those used to not be there. And then through various volcanic activity over the years, it came up. And in fact, I'm going to show you a few pictures later on. God, this is getting long. Sorry, guys. There is volcanic activity happening there. And one of the things that we did later was we did a little like wine cruise around the island. And we went in over there, and there's like hot springs there. And you can actually like get into the hot springs, and it's warm. It wasn't really that warm. But anyway, yeah, there's still a little bit of activity going on. Sunsets, gorgeous, amazing. Mostly I wanted to catch the cat in this one because it was a cat. But it's just everywhere you look is a friggin' postcard. So yeah, that's the Cosmopolitan Suites. That's where we stayed. And that's what I'm saying is like you approach it from this side and you open the door and it's just there. And you crap yourself. It's amazing. That is the view from our room. Our room had a big like deck in front of it with this big huge couch thing. It looked like some place where people would swap keys and have a big orgy or something. But this was our view. It had an infinity pool up front there. Sunset. Just ridiculous. Gorgeous. Just looking down at some of the boats down there. There were always these cruise ships kind of sailing around. Again, like the color on these buildings as the sun was going down. It just blew me away. I just couldn't get enough of it. I mean, look at this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I sound angry. It's so gorgeous. I want to punch something. At night. It's all lit up. Stupid. Why? I took this the first morning we were there. I was just like, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it was good. So a lot of this is just like super gorgeous pictures. Yeah, we had breakfast out there on the thing every morning. Coffee, because coffee. I love the way they did their sign on the Cosmopolitan Suites because like the sun comes down and it like forms it's made out of the shadows. Just some various sites of Thera. That's a church. Greek flag. Yeah. So yeah, that's the infinity pool I was talking about. And as you can see, there are cruise ships out there. I just now realized that I'm looking this way, and on the camera it looks like I'm looking a different direction. Sorry, bear with me. Little pathway as we walk down. We walked down there for quite a bit. There's all these restaurants. Let me get to something a little bit more interesting. Okay. It just looks like the guy's taking a crap on a table. I just saw that as I was walking around. I just had to take a picture. I mean, look at that. What the hell? Okay. Dogs. Just random dogs. This church was actually really cool. I forget the name of it, of course. Okay, so that building right there says Hotel Atlantis. Let me stop for a second. This place apparently is one of the things that they think was an inspiration for the legend of Atlantis because I mentioned it was a volcano that blew up. Well, it blew up like 3,500 years ago, and there was a civilization living there at the time. And in fact, I'll show you in a minute. We went to a museum that has all this archaeological stuff that had been dug up. There's a site there called Akrotiri, which is kind of like their Pompeii. It was a site where people lived, a big, huge city, and then the volcano blew up, and the city was no more. But apparently they have not ever found any bodies in Akrotiri because they think that the people who lived there got some kind of warning through some tremors or some earlier explosions or something, and they bailed before the island went up. The explosion of this island not only wiped out whatever civilization that was living there on the island, but it also is considered to be one of the things that wiped out the Minoan civilization that lived on Crete, which is like, 500 miles away or something like that? The island of Crete. So this one explosion that occurred 3,500 years ago kind of changed the course of history. And when you're standing there looking out at the caldera at the hotel and seeing it, it's just mind-blowing that you're standing right where something that cataclysmic happened. It's almost like standing at the spot where the comet that killed off the dinosaurs landed or something. It was just that level of wow. Anyway, so that's what that Atlantis thing made me think of. This is inside that church. Just cool. Greek Orthodox church. Very ornate. Hi, Jesus. Okay. I just started recording more videos when I got to Santorini, just in case I wanted to do something with it. I really wasn't... I kind of had to turn off the content machine, you know? I'm somebody that's always thinking about content and creating stuff and story and all that. I knew I would probably do something with it, and it might not go any longer or further than this video, which is already 30 minutes long. Wow, okay. But anyway, I just started taking pictures, and I started taking video with no real purpose to it. Because I just had to kind of step away from it a little bit. Drinks. I had many of them. There were cocktails every night. This place that we were staying was kind of like a cruise ship on land, because there were just constantly people out there like swabbing the deck in uniforms, and like if you go out and sit at the table, they would just walk up like, "Can I get you a drink? Can I get you some food?" It was just super, super nice. Anyway. More pictures of the sites. Oh, cool. Time lapse that I did. I woke up this one morning and there was a lot of fog and clouds rolling in. So I set up my camera and did a little time lapse, and you can especially see at the end, the fog kind of like rolls over the top. It's really cool. I'm just going to leave this with you. Check that out. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Okay, so this is that museum I was talking about with all the archaeological stuff. About 1700 or 1800 BC is when this volcano went up. So you're going through this thing and you're seeing all these like old artifacts and whatnot. I'm going to talk while I'm scrolling through because I'm taking too long already. Most of these are pictures. I think this is the only video. But every single one of them, you know, you got those little tabs with the information on them. Every single one of them was said 1800 BC. Because everything ended in 1800 BC. 3,500 years ago or whatever it is. It all ended because this volcano went up. And now they found all this stuff. It's amazing. And a lot of this, like you see dolphins. You can see dolphins on that pottery there. It really gives you an idea of the kind of things that were involved in their culture. There's a mosaic with boobs. Yeah, really cool mosaics and more dolphins, pottery, animal figures, as you can see. Monkeys on the wall. Okay, so this was that cruise that we did around the island that I was talking about. Turn down the volume on that. Yeah, they had music playing really loud, but it was fun. We're all just kind of cruising. We had some wine. I had quite a bit of wine. Turn down the volume a little bit. Some of this is kind of random because, yeah, I was just kind of drinking some wine. And it was fun. There were a whole bunch of boats out there, as you can see in that clip. You got a really good look at some of the rock formations. I mean, this is a volcanic island, so there's all these lava tubes, which is what I was taking a picture of right there. All of it's like volcanic rock. There were red beaches. There were black beaches. Lots of black rock everywhere. And by the way, I bought some lip stuff. It's like a lip, just like chapstick stuff, but it's made from the volcanic... Here. Yeah, it's made from the volcanic ash that's all over the island. This goth chapstick, because it's black. It's good stuff, though. It had some SPF in it. That was my main reason for using it. I started taking some videos because I really wanted to capture the moment where we went around the corner and like entered the caldera. It wasn't as dramatic as I thought it would be. They really had to swing wide outside of it because you can see all these little rocks right there that kind of just poke up. And I hear it's bad if you're on a boat to hit rocks, so they avoided them. Just lots of cool rock formations. I don't even know why I took that picture. Again, boats everywhere. It was just cool. And people would jump out every once in a while and swim a little bit. They had some really good food, surprisingly good food on this thing. Which I think, yeah, there you go. Yeah, they grilled shrimp and chicken and all kinds of stuff. Boats. More formations there. That was just a cool rock formation, I thought. All right, let me speed through these a little bit. That was really cool rocks. I'm sure those people appreciate me putting them on the internet. Sorry, guys. So this was like the edge of... Yeah, let me speed up here. I really just wanted to capture as we came around that corner to see the inside of the caldera. And there you can see, I think that's... on the left is Ea, and on the right is Fira. And that's a dude's tattoo. Oh, just look at the gnarled, crazy, like, rock stuff going on there. It's just, like, all twisted up, and volcanic rock is amazing. All right. Let's speed forward a little bit. So we kind of rode around, and we saw the island, and then we, like, cruised out to this spot where you can see the sun go down. I got a bunch of pictures of the sun going down. The light of that sunset is just so amazing. There's just nothing obstructing it, and it just turns really, really red, and just casts everything in this like pink glow. It's stunning. I mean, I took that picture. Ridiculous. Okay. And a little video of this. Of course, we're all standing there with our phones getting pictures of it because it's, 2019. But, oh, yeah, that's me being clever. My attempt at being clever. But take a look at the light coming off the water there. It's amazing. And this is the kind of thing that I'm sure many people who are watching this, they live near the water and they're like, yeah, I see that every day. I don't get to see this like ever. Okay. I don't live near this part of the world. I don't live near water. So sunsets, sunsets, sunsets. Okay. I wanted to just take a picture of this. I don't think that has any... No. So the hotel that we stayed in actually gave us a phone to carry around just in case anytime we need. They had their button, their number on speed dial. So you just would hit the button and phone them, and they would come and get you if you needed to. It was amazing. Like, I'd never seen anything like that before. Okay, so I mentioned we went to Ea. These are pictures of Ea. Very beautiful, very ridiculously crowded. Yeah, I mean, like, look at this. Look at that. I mean, that's a postcard. Everywhere you look, it's a friggin' postcard. Look at that. I mean, that's the kind of thing you always see when you see pictures of Santorini. It's usually in Ea, although we stayed in Fira. Fira was beautiful, but Ea is kind of the... Oh, yeah, well, I found a cat. Hello, cat. There were a lot of Instagrammers there. People like fashionistas. Like, there were all these, especially young women, walking around in, like, really nice dresses and stuff. Because clearly they're there to do a social media thing. Got a little annoying, but whatever. This was a restaurant that we ate. Just gorgeous view. Ridiculous. Little panorama I did there. Yeah, I took a video of this. This is what every single walkway in Ea looked like. And actually, this was probably one of the better ones. It was just butt to crotch as far as the eye could see. It was like a really bad, like, concert venue or something. So this was back. This was our last night. This was our last night there, and I just took a picture of the place where we were eating. I took a little time lapse of the sun going down, or I tried to. The phone fell before it got all the way down to the bottom, as you will see in just a second. And it went behind some clouds, so that kind of killed the whole thing, but still kind of neat. Clunk. Last couple of pictures. I just had to take a picture of the room a little bit. This was our bathroom. So I don't know if you can see it here, but there was a jacuzzi inside the shower. So you could shower and the tub was like right there. So so it was just right there. So that was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that before. It was just a really nice little place. And this is the outside of our room. So that on the bottom floor there. Again, just a giant couch. And we spent probably 3/4 of our trip just sitting there and reading and just hanging out. And there was like a period of about 3 hours between, say, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock or so where that was in direct sunlight and it was really hot. So you couldn't sit there. But the rest of the time, in at night. That's like, I spent more time there than inside the room. It was just, that was our spot. It was amazing. And I think that's all the pictures. I think that's all of it. I think that's the end of our, oh no, it's not. What's next? Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is a Santorini airport. It's a very small airport, and it was very busy, and there was a lot of crowding, and it was the kind that you kind of like walk up onto the plane from the tarmac, which you don't get to see very often anymore. So that was kind of neat. One last picture of the island as we were flying away. Really quickly, our trip back took literally 26 hours. We went from Santorini to Athens, and then from Athens to Chicago, and then from Chicago to Dallas. And the trip from Athens to Chicago, I think, was like 10.5 hours on its own. So we started that morning off at 6 in the morning, and we got home that night at midnight, Dallas time, adding 8 hours for the time change. It was a very, very, very long trip, and we were exhausted by the time we got home. And I still haven't fully gotten back used. I haven't recovered from the time change. Like when I was there, I was waking up at 4 in the morning every single time. Why? I don't know. And I'm still not. I usually go to bed at like 1 in the morning, and right now I'm only going to bed at like 11 or midnight. It's not me. It's not me. This is not me. One last picture. We actually flew over Greenland, and it kind of got everybody's attention. All of a sudden, everybody was opening up their windows and looking out, and it was like, wow, just glaciers and rocks and stuff as far as the eye can see. I'd never seen that before. I'd never flown over Greenland, and clearly many other people hadn't either. Holy crap! This went 40 minutes long. Guys, I'm so sorry. I hope this was at least interesting to you. I really didn't mean for this to be such a big deal. I guess I'll post it. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so that was my trip. It was a blast, and I appreciate you guys kind of giving me some leeway and letting me go and have a little bit of life, spend some time with the honey, and get away from things for a little bit. It's kind of needed every once in a while. Still playing catch up on my videos, by the way. I got a little bit ahead for a while, and now I'm back kind of just doing things as they come along. Anyway, one last thing, just really quickly, the fundraiser that I've been raising money for my Uncle Ron's scholarship fund, as Jake pushes me around. Tomorrow is the last day to get anything in, because that's when their fundraising benefit is, and that's where I'm going to send the money for this thing. So last day to join or to donate. We've gotten up to, like, where are we right now? $13.40. And I am going to match this. Whatever this comes out to be, I'm going to match it myself. And just really quickly, there's some people that I need to shout out just real quick. And I don't remember where I left off last time, but there's Joseph Davis. Thank you, Joseph. Brian Hobby contributed. Patrick Berteau. Anyway, he did a very nice donation. Thank you very much. David Swinson, Montel Allen, Brian Altschul, Vince Casilla, Sandy Grant, Jameson Hurley, lots of anonymouses in here. That's cool. Josue Castillo, Aaron Jenkins, Scott Westfall, Leah Grant, Anthony Evershed. I think that gets me caught up to where I was the last time. But anyway, if I missed any of you, I apologize. But there's like 50 people who have donated. And it's just so incredibly generous, and I thank you guys so much. I think this will be a great thing, and I can't wait to kind of share that with them. I think they're going to be really excited. Anyway, if you watched all this, I hope you enjoyed it. And random thing, won't be this long usually, obviously, but anyway, I will end it there, and I will catch you guys laters. Peace.